So we get asked all the time how we take these really dense topics and turn them into something engaging. Well, today, we're pulling back the curtain on that whole creative process. We're going to show you exactly how we transform a mountain of historical text into a story you'll actually want to watch. Let's dive in.
You know, every one of these explainers starts with a challenge. And for this one, it's our source material, a super comprehensive script on U.S. history. I mean, it's an incredible amount of information, a real goldmine of facts, but let's be honest, it's also a massive hurdle for any storyteller.
So here's the big question, right? How do you transform this wall of text into something dynamic that actually grabs and holds your attention? How do you turn a history lesson into a blockbuster?
That's the editor's challenge right there. It's all about taking these huge mountains of information and crafting a compelling visual story for a modern audience. An audience that, doesn't have a lot of time. It's about creating a story that moves.
Our goal is always pretty simple. Make it engaging and respect your time. But the source material, that's rarely simple. See, it's not just about listing off a bunch of facts. It's about finding a rhythm, a flow, and that narrative thread that makes you want to see what happens next. So our first and honestly most crucial step is to find the story. You have to comb through all that raw data and ask, what's the mystery here? Where's the conflict, the discovery? Basically, where is the human story hidden inside all these facts? Okay, take this example from our script. It describes the relief mission to the Roanoke colony back in 1590. It's factual, it's detailed, it mentions smoke, abandoned settlements, a palisade, but buried in all this text is something way more powerful. This single sentence is the story. It's the hook. Suddenly, we're no longer talking about just some failed colony. We're talking about a genuine, unsolved mystery. By isolating this one detail, we've completely shifted the narrative. The key is to find that one detail that just sparks curiosity. All right, so once we've got our story hook, we need to build a visual world around it. I mean, facts are abstract, but stories, they need a setting. And that brings us to step 2, building that world with our visual toolkit.
We use 4 key elements here. First, visuals. We're talking stock footage, B-roll, animations, anything to show, not just tell. Second, camera movement. Fast cuts and dynamic zooms to create energy. Third, on-screen text. And I'm not talking paragraphs, but short, bold statements that land a key fact with real impact. And finally, all of this comes together to set the emotion and the tone for the scene.
But visuals are really only half the experience. The final, and you could argue most important layer, is the audio. Sound is what turns a series of images into a feeling. It's the emotional engine of the whole story. Just look at the contrast here. On the left, you've got a simple description. It's just information. But on the right, you add sound. Tense music, looming ships, angry shouts, the thud of boots. All of a sudden, you're not just watching history, you're feeling it. That's the power of good sound design.
Okay, so we have our 3 steps. Find the story, build the world, and add the emotion. Now let's put it all together. We're going to do a little rapid-fire showcase and transform a few lines from our script right now. Here's our first before. It's a straightforward, factual line from the script about Leif Erikson. It gives us the what, but there's no wow. It's accurate, sure, but it's not cinematic. And now, the transformation. We immediately establish this tone of mystery and adventure with visuals of a long ship on a foggy sea. We add some serious stakes with that on-screen text 500 years before Columbus. And the audio, those ominous horns and crashing waves, it pulls you right onto that ship, heading out into the unknown.
Okay, next up, the Boston Tea Party. Again, the raw script is just a simple statement of fact. It tells us what happened, but it doesn't really convey that rebellious energy of the moment, does it?
So here's how we transform it. We use quick cuts of splashing crates and defined faces. We add modern context and incredible stakes with the text 1.7 million today. And the audio, that tense string music and the sound effects, it creates this real urgency. It's no longer just a historical event. It's a high-stakes heist.
For our last example, the script says San Francisco's population skyrocketed from about 800 to 20,000 people in just 1 year during the gold rush. I mean, that's just a statistic. How do you make a number feel exciting?
Well, you visualize the chaos and the opportunity. We use a time lapse of a town just exploding into existence. We put the numbers right on screen, big and bold, so you can't miss the massive scale of that change. And the upbeat banjo music and the bustling town sounds, they create a tone of frantic energy. You actually feel the rush. So,
Here's the single most crucial takeaway from all of this. It has to happen fast. You have about 5 seconds to hook your viewer. That's it. Every single choice, the story, the visuals, the sound, it all has to be aimed at making those first 5 seconds completely unskippable. Ultimately, this whole process is about seeing the story that's already hidden inside the information. And it's everywhere. It's in data, it's in history, it's in science. The tools to do this are more accessible than they've ever been. So the only question left is, what story will you tell?